Happy New Year, everybody. It's New Year's Day. Hope everybody had a safe and fun New Year's Eve. 2024 is over. Time to start the new year. Why not start out with the top 10 beers of 2024? So this is going to be a list of the top 10 beers I reviewed in 2024. Now, I drank close to 1,000 different beers. They were new beers, unique beers in 2024. But I only reviewed about 340 of them. And so this is going to be the top beers out of the beers that I reviewed. These aren't in any, I'm not doing 1, 2, 3, whatever. But I did kind of put them in order of my Untapped rating, if that makes sense. And so this is the top 10 beers I reviewed in 2024. The first one is going to be from one of my new favorite breweries out of Knoxville, Tennessee, Zuul Brewing. Drinking a Zuul beer right now, the Blood-Soaked Symphony. But this beer is the Umbrellas and Innuendos. Like I said, it's from Zuul Brewing. It's a nice sour beer. It's a fruited sour. Really enjoyed that beer, and I gave it a 4.5 on Untapped. It's a good beer. I can't speak high enough about Zuul. The next beer I had, which also happens to be a Zuul beer, surprisingly, was Gremlin Mode. Super cool can art with a gremlin on it. This was a collaboration between Tripping Animals and Zuul. Tripping Animals is out of Doral, Florida. And obviously Zuul's out of Knoxville, Tennessee. I've spoken enough about them lately. And I also gave that a 4.5 on Untapped. It's a very nice, tasty beer there. Really enjoyed that one as well. Next one on my list is very complicated because that was the Octatonic that I reviewed. That was the beer that had a dozen or so different breweries involved in it. So that was a beer that was brewed in collaboration with Yazoo Brewing Company out of Nashville, Russian River Brewing Company out of Windsor, California, Jester King Brewery out of Austin, Texas, Allagash Brewing Company out of Portland, Maine, Green Bench Brewing Company out of St. Petersburg, Florida, Bootleg Biology out of Nashville. That was just a crazy collaboration beer. I gave that a 4.5 out of 5 on Untapped. And if you're interested to see all these reviews, I will list them all down below in the description so you can go check out the reviews of these different beers. Since these are the top 10 beers that I've reviewed over the last year, you might want to go check them out. And maybe these are some beers you want to pick up. The next one is from one of my longtime favorite breweries. And it's a brewery I wish would do a collaboration beer with Zuul. So if you're out there watching Zuul or Barbarian Brewing, I would love to see you guys do a collaboration together. Because you two are probably the best breweries out there, at least for sours, as far as sours go. I mean, Barbarian is a phenomenal brewery. I've been loving them for a long time, out of Boise, Idaho. And the beer that makes the top 10 from Barbarian is the Danger Sunset. And I love Barbarian, man. Every time I go to Boise, I try to make sure to stop there. I try to pick up beers. I think I might still have a couple beers left that I need to review from them. Just an excellent brewery. If you're ever in the Boise area, go check them out. Next on the list is the Imperial Smells Like Bean Spirit Vanilla. And this is from Microphone Brewing out of Elk Grove Village, Illinois. And I gave that a 4.75 on Untapped. Now, there's a lot of different versions of this beer. The base beer just smells like bean spirit. Then there's an Imperial version that smells like bean spirit. And this one happened to be the Imperial Vanilla version of Smells Like Bean Spirit. Awesome can art, reminiscent of Nirvana. And it was just a really good, nice beer. Really enjoyed that beer. I believe it was a stout, if I remember correctly. Just a nice beer. Next one on my list is one I reviewed pretty recently on my channel. And this is the Bo and Luke Coconut Cream Pie 2023. Didn't realize that it was a 2023 can when I bought it. But it's a Bo and Luke variant. Those are so hard to find. It's from Against the Grain Brewing out of Louisville, Kentucky. It's an Imperial Stout, and it was delicious. I gave it a 4.8 on Untapped. If you're not familiar with Untapped, for some reason, all their ratings are out of 5. Just FYI. And again, all my reviews for all these beers will be down below in the description. So moving on. The next beer on my list was actually a gift beer from the Beer Patrol. And he gave me this beer because he liked the picture on the can. It reminded him of me. I really appreciate him giving me this beer. It was the Oak Aged Coffee Coconut Sasquatch Reserve. and that's from 903 Brewers out of Sherman, Texas. I gave that a 4.8 on Untapped, and it's funny because I don't think I'd ever seen their beers around Ohio before. But not long after he gave me that beer, I started seeing them pop up. And recently I've seen a lot of them around here. And I have an upcoming review of another beer from 903 Brewers. It's a really cool brewery, puts out a lot of good stuff. Check them out. And check out all these breweries because they've all put out amazing stuff. I mean, they made my top 10 list of 2024. The next one is another beer I reviewed real recently. And this was the Big Bad Baptist Cherry Bliss. It's from Epic Brewing in Salt Lake City. It's an Imperial Stout. It's a Cherry Imperial Stout. It was divine. It was amazing. I gave that one a 4.9 on Untapped. Now, Big Bad Baptist is another style of beer. I guess another beer that has a base beer, which is just a Big Bad Baptist, and they make all kind of varieties of it. Some of them, I've had three or four of their varieties. Some of them are better than others. But this one was phenomenal. A Cherry Bliss, if you like cherries, if you like chocolate-covered cherries, cherry cordials, it was amazing. Make sure you buy that beer if you see it. If you can even find it. I'm lucky I found that beer, and I haven't seen it since. Now, the next one on my list isn't a beer. It's a cider. I know this is a beer channel, but ciders and beers are pretty similar, and I had to include this one on my list because this is just so out there, such a strange, weird cider that I'd never tried before, never experienced before, and it was so phenomenal. And I don't know exactly, never did figure out how to pronounce this. I don't know if it's the Tixi, I don't know, but it's Txiki, and it's from Son of Man out of Cascade Locks, Oregon. That was a cider, I've never had anything else like it. It was such an amazing, complex cider. It was phenomenal. I mean, it was so good that I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Untapped. I mean, and that's why it's on the list. I know it's a cider, not a beer, but that's why it's on the list. It was one of the few beverages I had this year, or in 2024, that I gave a 5 out of 5 to. If you ever see that, go buy it. I'd love to go find some more of those ciders from Son of Man. Now, the last one on the list is kind of a crazy beer. I know you can still get it online. Probably a little pricey, but it was the Ode Crick Ville 2014. That beer is from 2014, from Ode Beercel, out of Beercel, Vlaams, West, Belgium. I got it from the Rare Beer Club. I think you can still order it on their website, the Rare Beer Club. But that was just one of the best beers I've ever had. It's a 5 out of 5. I mean, I would give it a 10 out of 5. It's just such a phenomenal beer. I mean, it was amazing. I actually have the bottle sitting here. I mean, it's this beer right here. Of course, I'm going to post a picture up in the video, but such an amazing Belgian ale, cherry, and just deliciousness. It's so worth whatever price you can pick it up for. Buy that beer. And that's my top 10 beers I reviewed in 2024. However, there's 2 honorable mentions, and both these honorable mentions aren't necessarily some of the best beers I tried, although they were very good beers. But both these beers are near and dear to my heart because of my relationship with the people involved. So the first one would be the Whitechapel from Old Irving Brewing Company out of Chicago, Illinois. I mean, I gave it a 4.2 on Untapped, but Old Irving contacted Whitechapel and asked if they could brew a beer to release at their show at the Chicago show during the Lorna Shore tour, and Chapel was cool with it. And it was actually a good beer. And it was cool because it was a red ale. And, you know, you do a lot of these brewers do collaboration beers with bands, and it always seems like it's an IPA. Occasionally you see a stout. Zuul did a sour. Really cool they did a sour. But Old Irving did a red ale, and that was different. And it was really neat to see them do something outside the realm of normal when it comes to like metal bands doing collaboration beers. And it was a well-done beer. It was a really nice beer. So that gets an honorable mention. And the other one that's an honorable mention is a band that is so near and dear to me. Really love these people. Go check them out. Go check out their music. Ensiferum Burning Rise. That beer, that band, I love that band. And that beer was sent to me by the band by way of the dog. It was brewed by Masis Brewery out of Espoo, Finland. Gave it a 4.1 on Untapped, and I just love supporting that band. Love those guys. They're great people. And so that beer also gets an honorable mention. So I hope you enjoyed my top 10 of 2024. Like I said, those are all beers that I reviewed in 2024. You can find those reviews down below in the description. And 2025 will be another year of adventure. As always, embrace the adventure.